So this is my project for the day. 5 50-gallon barrels. This is the well house. It's got an electric pump in it, and we're going to connect it to the 50-gallon barrels so that we can water the gardens over here. This is the design for what we're going to do. We're going to build a manifold and connect all of it up. Use cinder block for the mounting, and then the railing deal here is actually a wheelchair ramp, and then the barrels sit right on top of that. Next step is to go to Lowe's and get some plumbing stuff. Should be fun. I'm working on the manifold here. So this is the outside of the well house, and I just buried the line here, and the water line comes up out of the ground there. That'll be where the regulator will be, and then that'll tie into the barrel over here. Lucy. So right now I'm working on the regulator, which is made out of this stuff right here. It's got a toilet pump inside, and it will determine the water level and shut off. This is the floater regulator I built from a toilet float valve, and that runs down into the flexible lines and comes up there. So this is the full system. I'll walk you through it. That's the well house in there. Inside there, the water comes up out of the ground through an electric pump and fills up that tank, and that tank is pressurized, so then we get water pressure off that. And I've buried a line here underneath. It goes up here and comes out of the ground there. That 3/4 inch PVC comes up out of the ground from the well house, the thicker one, and put a valve in line there, and then it goes up to that flexible line, basically a toilet line, because the valve is a toilet pump. So this is the regulator, and basically it's just like a trickle regulator. The water level raises up, and basically I want a really slow fill so that we don't dry the pump up. That's the whole reason for this whole system. And so then that connects there, and you can see the bubbles going through there, and that's what we want. We want bubbles coming through it, because that means that the flow is really slow. So we don't want to try to fill these up quickly. We want to fill them slowly. So it goes here, and then that fills the bury the line, and it's coming up out of the ground there, and then that fills the barrels up through the manifold. Built a manifold underneath that both fills and empties the barrels. Ooh, that 5 gallons in the way. You can see it there. I used this to level the barrels. I needed to level them because the ground's pretty uneven. I couldn't find a normal level, so I basically took a couple of pieces of metal and dripped water in it, and if it dripped out of both sides, I knew it was level. It dripped out of one, I knew I needed to keep working. Then I drilled a couple little air holes there, because we got to keep the whole thing at standard atmospheric pressure so that the water can flow into the barrels, otherwise they wouldn't, which I think is 14 pounds per square inch or something like that. That doesn't matter, it's just a fact. I think that's right, it might not be. Who knows? And so then a standard garden hose just goes on the end of the manifold, and that's basically it. The whole system is not based on water pressure from the pump, but based on sort of gravity pressure. So the higher the water level in the barrels, the more water pressure you'll get out of the hose. So we found a water line in this field behind the house, They put in this hose here. It ran, I don't know what the original purpose was, but there was a line out here. So my neighbor asked if we could plug it up and make it usable for his garden. He owns this field back behind my house. And I said, sure. That's about it on that. So the whole purpose for the system is that we've got these gardens here that we like to use the well to water them, but in the summer especially, the well runs dry as we water. So the whole purpose was to have more water storage, basically, that didn't run the well dry every time we used it. So I think the whole thing, we probably spent maybe $120. We found a good deal on the barrels out in Lindale for $8 a piece. And then all the plumbing stuff was probably 50 or so, something like that. So all in all, pretty good weekend project. This is some lady that's been living with me. Well, she looks real pretty. She shakes her head a little bit when she's embarrassed. Let's see if we can make her do it.